Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a Terran versus Protoss, a best-of-3 series where in game number 1 we find ourselves on Hardwire. Spawning right here in the top right corner of the map and playing with the pretty pink Protoss pros. I mean, that alone, if you haven't read the title to this video, will probably reveal to you who this Protoss player is. He's one of the few pro gamers who likes to play with the pink colors, and of course he goes by the name of Zest. One of the very best Protoss players in the world. His opponent, in the opposite corner, a man you might not be as familiar with the blue SCVs, likewise also from Korea, we're looking at Percival's main command center. So Percival, hold up. Okay, I was gonna give you a little bit more backstory on Percival, but we've got ourselves a forge first right here from Zest, and Percival is now going for a proxy barracks in the middle of the map. Normally, at this level, we don't really see cannon rushes, period. Especially not against Terran. I think that Mr. Zest here is almost trying to go for like a disrespectful opener. He wants to cannon rush his Terran opponent. And the reason why we normally don't see cannon rushes in PvT is because Terran structures can fly. Percival will know right now that something's not quite right. Now, sadly for him, this might work out for the Protoss because of the fact that the barracks is in the middle of the map. I mean, you kind of do need a factory to try and defend against this sort of thing, I suppose, regardless. He needs to be careful that he doesn't hit supply blocks because, of course, those supply depots will go down. Either way, I wouldn't be surprised if Percival just decides to leave as soon as this command center is done morphing in orbital command. I don't see a response here from Percival just yet. One of the photon cannons on the low ground also got cancelled. Zest already following it up with another pylon. Now 2 photon cannons in the main. This will definitely force some sort of response right here from our Terran player in blue. Alright, that one will end up going down. First Reaper will be available very soon too. I would have rather seen it, you know, on the other side of those rocks. I mean, obviously that's maybe a little bit more likely to be scouted, but anyways. Reaper is going to be able to get into the main base. A bunker, okay, did come up it seems. But that bunker was... I don't know if that was a kill or a cancel. Anyways, it was denied by the photon cannon that's now defending the main mineral line right here of Zest. Zest, though, is now facing off against the Terran player who's going for a factory in the main base and who is now, well, going for a low ground. This is normally the 3rd or even the 4th base of the Terran player. Reaper, in the meantime, though, getting some work done. Still a ton of SCVs. I think they ended up going down right there, yeah, when those units tried to go and escape the main base. 9 SCVs sacrificed themselves. Factory at this point is done, though, and a tech lab is building. I would imagine it's going to be either Cyclones or even Siege Tanks. Siege Tanks are obviously going to be amazing because you can just simply outrange, well, everything, right? No reason to, this prop has got 2 kills. A little bit of sloppiness right here out of the Terran player. Anyways, no reason to, what was I going to say? Oh, right, research Siege mode in 2022. Just a little reference to that Wings of Liberty cast that I did a couple of days ago. That was pretty funny. Anyways, only about 5 or so of the mineral fields of our Protoss player in the main base seem to be accessible. He's going into a cyber core as well as a gateway. Fair enough. So I guess 2 base, yeah, Stalker, something like that. Maybe a couple of adepts wouldn't hurt either. But this is a very awkward game right now. Could you not just continue to cannon rush over here as well? Could you not like build photon cannons on the high ground? I mean, you could go for one right over here, but Jimmy, he's going to try and deny those probes. Either way, Cyclone is going to be the name of the game. Cyclones, obviously, with their lock-on ability, they're still going to be amazing. Zealot in the middle of the map, just trying to buy some time right here for Zest to be able to get those Stalkers out. So that's exactly what he's doing right now. Where exactly are you going to take this game from here, though? Supply block right here for Percival. He's definitely not used to playing a game like this. I don't really like the position here for Terran very much, but I wonder if I like the position here for Protoss even worse. Because there's not going to be that reliable of a counter to any of those any of those factory units out. I mean, gateway units are going to be fine once you get up to... Yeah, there's the starport also building. Where's he? Okay. Decides to proxy that one too. A couple of Terran structures all over the map. Anyways, there's gonna be an attack, assuming Percival continues building stuff out of the factory. He doesn't have a lot of money. So, yeah, okay, decides to go for a siege tank. I would imagine there's gonna be an attack here if Zest decides to try and expand. I don't really see the alternative, though, for Zest. He could go for, like, a 1-base all-in. So, yeah, warp gates finish up at this point. Probe moves to the low ground. I think you kind of need an expo. Okay, Marines over here. Looks like they've got picked off as well. Cyclone at this point available. You need to be so careful here, Percival. Don't lose another unit unnecessarily. Okay, that Cyclone is so important. Please don't lose that. Please don't lose that. Okay. Nice micro there. Marines once more end up going down. Siege tank at this point is out. It's staring angrily at the pylon. But apparently it's going to be enough for now. Okay. A little bit of love right here from those SCVs. These Stalkers are actually doing way more damage than I thought they would. Well, before I started up that sentence anyways. Unsieged siege tanks, pack a punch, yeah. Fun fact. Oh, he's using this pylon over here to warp in reinforcements. And I can actually hit the low ground too. Fun fact anyways, siege tanks that are unsieged deal more single target damage than sieged up tanks. Anyways, yeah, now these units will be stuck though. No way for them to continue dealing damage here. Percival is soon gonna go into the third siege tank. And I guess, yeah, he's gonna go for siege tank Banshee. Nexus on the low ground is just about to finish up. He's really gonna need that robotics facility if he wants to deal with siege tanks, because I'm pretty sure they're gonna be driving towards the other side of the map. Percival is going for a very strange one base all-in, where like his main structure that he's actually dealing damage with is the only one that's not proxied, because he needed to defend against a cannon rush. Either way, 4 Stalkers are gonna be available. Banshee, okay. You need to be so careful though, dude. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know what the dynamic is. 1 siege tank and a Banshee against 4 Stalkers? I would imagine that's an advantage for the 4 Stalkers, but obviously there's more Terran units out on the map. Zest is well aware. Battery overcharge is going to be very helpful. For now, the shield battery has energy. But the siege tanks, okay, they're going to go for a very conservative siege. I think they're waiting for the additional tank to show up, and now also for SCVs to make their way across. You could obviously go for like a slow bunker push. You could also like siege the tanks one at a time and try and get a chokehold on that Natural Expo. The only problem is that this is buying a ton of time. I think Immortals are the right call here. Anyways, apparently Zest wants to try and break this before that is the case. A third siege tank, though, at this point is here. There's really no way for a pink Protoss player to get work done. I think an Immortal, yeah, is the logical choice. Immortal with battery overcharge to try and just gun down as many of those mech units as possible is probably the best option. Anyways, battery overcharge is going to be on cooldown for the next minute or so. Percival going for a very slow attack, although, yeah, he's getting rid right there of that shield battery. Wouldn't mind seeing another shield battery coming up. Anyhow, tanks slowly but surely trying to get in ranged. Another tank is coming up. Another tank on the production tab too. Plus another Banshee. Okay, here we go. This is the moment I think where Zest needs to try and strike. Siege tank right now unsieged. Needs to try and target fire down those Immortal, or sorry, those siege tanks, with the siege tank and the same thing to the Immortal. And the Immortal, well, it disappeared in a heartbeat. One unsieged tank also joins in the fray. Landed Stalker dealing a ton of damage too. It deals bonus to mechanical. So, you know what? The Stalkers actually are in a little bit of trouble. And I think Percival does actually get the favorable trade. Little bit of a disrespectful build here from Zest in game number 1. I like that there's a bunker, but absolutely no unit to go into the bunker. Is that a bad-mannered bunker? Oh no, Jimmy's here. Alright, a BM bunker would not necessarily be the norm. Siege tank may be a little too far forward. SCV's trying to repair it back up, but that's once more 2 or 3 Stalkers going down. Well, that's all of the Stalkers going down. Percival wins game number 1. Okay, game number 2 is on 2,000 atmospheres. Zest decided to go for a bit of a skill check there in game number 1. Honestly, one of the best case scenarios of going for a cannon rush against Terran at the professional level, and it still didn't work out. He killed like close to a dozen SCVs, and obviously Terran hit like 2 or 3 supply blocks throughout that game as well, and it still wasn't an advantage for Protoss. Anyhow, that was a pretty sick game. I've got a bit of an embarrassing story featuring me and Percival. Once upon a time, about a year or so ago, someone posted their very first message in my Twitch chat. So in case you're unfamiliar, I stream about 30 hours a week over at twitch.tv/LowkoTV. Anyhow, whenever someone posts their very first message in Twitch chat, there's like a little box around the chat that indicates to the streamer that it's the very first message that that person has ever written, which is actually awesome because it's a nice little feature that allows you to give a special welcome to new viewers, right? Anyhow, once upon a time, someone with a bunch of random characters right next to each other, a nickname I wasn't familiar with, said their very first message, something along the lines of, "Cheer me, I play GSL tomorrow." And since obviously I'm streaming and I get people trolling me all the time, I made a snarky response, something along the lines of, sure, and I'm Cyril. Right? Turns out this was Percival saying hi to the community because he was playing in the GSL the next day. Oh. Anyhow, I don't know if Percival thinks I'm a jerk because of it. Something got lost in translation there, okay? I didn't mean to be a dick about it, but yeah, you can only get trolled so many times before you assume everyone is a troll. Because, you know, the GSL is a very difficult tournament to qualify for. It's not something you can easily do. But yeah, it turns out that was Percival. So hey, Percival, have you ever listened to this cast? Didn't mean it in a mean way. Wasn't, you know, my intention. Anyhow. Looks like we've got a more conventional opener here in game number 2 from the both of them. Very quick reactor, so at the very least Percival is going to be able to pump out a bunch of those Marines at once. He's going to go into the factory as well. Zest opening up with a standard gateway, and then a pretty quick cybercore together with that Nexus. He's going to start scouting right here with a Zealot. Now, a Zealot scout is not quite your norm. So yeah, he's definitely planning on being a little bit aggressive in this game. Now follows it up as well with a Stargate. Zealot over here is like, nope. I've been tasked with going to the other side of the map, but there's already a bunch of Marines available. Losing the Zealot would actually kind of suck, but I think he's going to be okay. Stalker, of course, on the back of this. That one would pick off Martin and Jake. Ooh, Simon and whatever, man. Like, there's a bunch of people. Garfunkel? Is it... Anyways, Garfunkel over here in the back, dealing a little bit of damage to that Stalker. They're going to help out. So, just a little bit of poking here at the front. Both of these guys trying to deal some damage, but neither of them really gets ahead. This is one of those little move-outs that I sometimes get questions about. People are like, hey, why do we even see those move-outs? Because they never achieve anything. What they are achieving here is two players constantly checking on each other to make sure that the opponent is not playing too greedily, right? You could cut those units. You could skip them out of your build order and just decide to not build them. But then obviously you might accidentally lose the game at like the 3-minute mark, which would not be ideal. But it also forces the opponent to get a reasonable amount of units out, so they're not just gonna go for a super quick third base, or they're just focusing on worker production. Anyhow, Hellions are now joining in too. Honestly, that Stalker has been quite helpful. Oracle here is definitely gonna be able to shut down those units easy peasy. Okay, 2 probes. Best case scenario. Marines here at the front also not really achieving a whole lot. I'm liking this position for Zest quite a bit better. Despite the fact that the Oracle was originally meant offensively, he's now going to follow this up with a third base, as well as a second Oracle, and I think he's going to be more than happy with the way that this game is going here so far. So, honestly, that little, Widowmine drop is a follow-up too. That little, Stalker from earlier, softening up those Marines, definitely did help out. Okay, Medevac is still going to commit. I haven't seen any of Percival's games, by the way, in a little while, so I'm not entirely sure where he's currently at. This is not looking all too hot right here for our Terran player, though. He's going to need to deal a lot of damage with the Widowmine drop. This is something Zest saw coming from a mile away. Zest. Really? Come on, Zest. You literally saw the Medevac in the middle of the map. That was no response? Interesting. I guess he was too busy, microing units in the meantime on the other side of the map, but that was a little bit sloppy, right? I mean, there is this certain point where you assume that there's no longer gonna be an aggressive push from your opponent either because you've been spotted, right? There's a certain point where like, oh, okay, you expect your opponent to turn around. There's still one Widowmine over here in the Nat. Come on, you must realize there were 3 of them, Zest. Okay, then. Well, this might accidentally work out then for Percival after all. Not ideal. Not ideal right there for Mr. Zest. And now there's another Widowmine drop just trying to be as annoying as possible. I mean, he's dealing with the mines, you know, eventually, but taking a little bit too much damage in the grand scheme of things. Now, don't get me wrong, this is still a good situation for Protoss just because the third base is available and he can continuously do whatever he likes. Phoenixes and Oracles are going to make it usually, assuming you control it correctly, quite difficult for the Terran player to actually get damage in. Now the follow-up is going to be a Forge together with a Twilight Council, so I'm expecting a more conventional follow-up right now from Mr. Zest. What exactly is Percival going to do from here? So rather than opting to go for a very quick third command center, Percival has decided to go into 5 barracks. This means that he wants to go for one hell of a push off of 2 bases. And for the next few minutes, Protoss should have a significant economical advantage. So I'm expecting combat shields and Stimpack. Yep. +1 infantry weapons is already researching. So Percival is going to go for an attack as soon as those upgrades are done. But that's still a minute or two away. So I don't think he's really going to try and get much damage in for the time being. It means that, yeah, Protoss can do whatever they like here for at least a while. Apparently what Zest likes to do here is just make a lot of stuff. The meta right now for Protoss is very gateway focused in general. Yeah, so no robo facility. We used to see a lot of very quick Colossus follow-ups after these sort of openers too, which I think would be a fair follow-up here for Zest as well, because he's got plenty of time to get a couple Colossus out. With extended thermal lens, I think holding this push would be pretty easy. Now this is nice, yeah. Free Widow Mine, not bad. So this one he also now sees the amount of barracks that are available, so he knows that there's at least 3. Okay, ooh, even getting some damage in there with the Oracles. Okay, one of the Oracles does go down, but that is honestly the majority of the Terran army. Yeah, that he meant to push with. So even though that trait may not necessarily be like super resource efficient, I mean, it's pretty good, right? You usually want to preserve those Oracles. He's just softening up this Terran army because he knows that this is for all intents and purposes a 2-base all-in right now from Terran. Gateways are finishing up. Charge is finishing up too. Honestly, I don't really see exactly what Terran can do with this force. Isn't it just gonna get charged out of its mind? I mean, a few warpins in, and Zest is gonna have way more army supply. So you can see finally he's now catching up when it comes to that army supply at the counter right there at the bottom of the map. Anyways, 3rd command center on the back of this too from Percival. He needs to be careful that he doesn't accidentally, run all of his zealots into those Widow Mines. But honestly, those additional Phoenixes are helping out quite a bit, and that is one of the smoothest holds I've actually seen in this matchup. Beautifully played. SCVs are now pulled to the front as well, but I'm afraid they are a little too late. Zest definitely outclassing his opponent here in game number 2. Especially if it wasn't for that Widow Mine drop. Like, I still can't believe that he... Anyways. That really wasn't supposed to deal that much damage. Percival now realizing that he also isn't going to be able to win the game with that push. So he's awkwardly sending the SCVs back home, which I guess is the right choice. But that was obviously a ton of lost mining. 22 SCVs there in total, not mining for like what? 30 seconds? If I'm being conservative, probably 30 seconds. Every second an SCV doesn't mine, you lose about 1 mineral of potential mining. So, well, you can do the math. That's a good couple 100 minerals down the drain at the very least there for Percival. Building up that advantage here for Zest. He's got to go for the +2 together with the Blink upgrade as well as the 4th Nexus. So he doesn't want to take any chances. Game number 1 was the game where he took chances, okay? Game number 2 is not that game. I think he could go for a robo facility into a prism, right? And then just, yeah, try and... There you go. There's the prism coming up. But he really is making sure he does not... lose another silly game like the one in game number 1. I mean, that was still very close. Anyhow, Ghost coming up as a follow-up here. That's to deal mostly with the Archons and then the potential for a High Templar transition too. Zest right now, though, leading the army supply count quite nicely. Not a whole lot of Widow Mines available here for the Terran player either. Obviously, you can always use the Medivacs... Or sorry, the Phoenixes too to try and drag that Widow Mine fire over those Terran units. Okay, nice little micro here though, although that force field is going to prevent those Terran Marines from trying to clean up the units at the 3rd base. The micro towards the ramp was good, but... yeah. Very nice game here from Zest. This is kind of what it looks like where you have like a top 50 player in the world going up against someone who's like top 10, right? On a good day, I mean, Zest has been going down a little bit as far as those overall rankings go, but on a good day, Zest definitely is a top 10 player. And despite the fact that it's only a few dozen ranks in total, you can see that those small differences certainly do add up. Alright. Percival could have decided though to play like a cheesy game. Props to him for playing something pretty macro-focused. Command Center does eventually go down too, so I don't really see a way that the Terran player can try and come back into this. I mean, he's trying, He hasn't seen the 4th Nexus here, so maybe he's making the assumption that this is a 3-base push here from Zest, but it's not the case. Zest easily obtains a victory in game number 2. Okay, Blackburn, our final game for today. Percival decides to start off this particular game by going for an SCV, right from the get-go. Generally speaking, when Terran send out an SCV that early, it means that they're gonna go for some proxy barracks. Is Zest gonna scout right away? No, looks like he wants to go for, Oh, okay. Ooh, is that the rally point from that SCV? Is it... If he's trying to proxy stuff inside of the natural expo of the... That would be bad. That is not the way to do it. Nope. He gets scouted right now, too. Oh, God, that's awkward. There's no way Zest didn't see that, right? I think he probably hoped that Zest was gonna go for a high ground wall-off right over here, so pylon that location and then, you know, gateway over there. So Percival was originally planning on going for a proxy over there. I'm assuming Zest picked up on that. There's no way he didn't. Like, he was quite literally looking at that screen, I'm pretty sure, just because he was about to plant down a gateway. So double proxy Rex right now in the 2nd location, and Zest is looking around. He's gonna find it. Alright. Cheese gets scouted. The same thing happened in game number 1, though. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's held. Little bit of RNG right here, right? There's some randomness here for the Terran player. You never really know exactly where those SCVs are gonna scoot around to when you're, building structures like you are right here if you're Percival in the middle of the map. Basically, the SCV movement inside of that building structure is random. Okay, more SCVs were coming from the other side of the map, so they're going to be able to eventually finish up that structure, but already, this is bought so much time just now for Zest. He's going to go for a Zealot, Cybercore, as well as a Gateway right now as a follow-up. 2nd pylon was already planted in the main base. Wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a shield battery over here. A couple Stalkers, I mean... There we go. Alright, bunker on the low ground here, so Percival is going to try and follow this up with a very slow push. Honestly, I don't think I like this all too much. That shield battery is in a great position, so they did do the big switcheroo right there, by the way, those SCVs, to repair each other back up to full, so that's nice. But you're gonna need a ton of Marines to try and, well, out-DPS a healing shield battery. If you're gonna go for such a slow push... No, this is going from bad to worse. Zealot eventually goes down, but good body blocking right there from Zest as well is preventing that Marine from going into the bunker. Bunker is in a conservative spot, but still too far away from this barracks. I'm pretty sure. I mean, the Marines are popping 2 at a time, yeah. So maybe one of them is going to be able to go in. Oh. Yeah, a little bit of indecisiveness right there from Zest makes this reasonably okay, but... Alright. Zest could even go for a Nexus right now. And I don't think there's really a whole lot that the Terran player can do about it. He does need to actually go for a Nexus before the barracks, like, lands over here, but... Alright. Fantastic start right here from Zest. Scouting barracks will be ignored for the time being. Stalkers instead are just gonna try and go across the map straight into a Twilight Council right now as a follow-up too. In the meantime though, Percival has got himself a factory with a tech lab done, so he's gonna go into the Cyclone. Problem is, that's 4 Stalkers. 4 Stalkers against 1 Cyclone is not ideal. Stalkers are gonna try and just work on whatever they can. They want to go into the Terran's main base. They're knocking. Knock, knock, knocking on the Terran's door. Okay, supply depot goes down. That actually now forces Percival into a supply block, which is really rough. He did start up a couple more. Here's that Cyclone. Ugh. Yeah, 1 Cyclone's not gonna be enough. Like, the weakened, like, the targeted Stalker can just go to the back. Okay, he's gonna try and pull it to the front right now together with a couple of repairing SCVs. Careful. Okay. Well, that's the Stalkers freely in the main base. Percival realizes that there's nothing stopping those Stalkers from just killing everything. With that, it's gonna be Zest who obtains the victory in this best-of-3 series, 2-1.